My name is Eugene Blazer. I didn't have a father growing up, since not having him was normal for me. I never missed him. My mom took great care of me and showed a lot of affection, so as long as she was around, I was happy. But as I grew up, I realized that having a father at home was normal for most people. I think I was in the first grade when a friend asked, "Why don't you have a father?" It was the first time I asked my mom about it. "Hey mom, why don't I have a dad?" I asked out of pure curiosity, but she seemed shaken by my question. I remember seeing tears welling up in her eyes and deciding not to press further. Even as a child, I knew this was something I shouldn't ask about. "Well, you see, actually," she started to explain after regaining her composure. But I interrupted her. "Never mind. As long as you're here, I don't care about having a dad." I hugged her tightly, and she hugged me back. Even though I didn't understand our family situation then, I remember thinking, I'll never make her cry again, and I'll protect her. Despite her working hard, our lives weren't easy. So when I started high school, I looked for a part-time job. I was already 5 feet 10 inches in my sophomore year, and had confidence in my physical strength from running and working out. So I searched for jobs in construction and other physical labor. "Mom, I'm going to get a part-time job. I found a good one and want to apply," I said. "Are you sure it's safe? It's not something shady, is it?" My mom looked worried. I couldn't help but laugh. "Of course not. It's a job assembling scaffolding, and the pay is pretty good." I showed her the job posting. For a moment, she looked taken aback, so I asked her about it. "Is something wrong? You look surprised just now." "It's nothing. Look at the muscles on these people in the picture. Do you think you'll get muscles like that from this job? Just don't hurt yourself lifting heavy things," she said, and I laughed along with her. "Don't worry. I'll be careful. I want to start earning my own money. You know, you don't have to work so hard anymore." "You're so sweet. I'm sorry for making your life tougher. You're in high school now, so it's fine to have a job, but make sure you have some fun too." I assured her, "I'll balance work and play, and I'll keep up with my studies too. So don't worry." And so, I started my first part-time job. I went for an interview at Davis Construction, which was hiring for scaffolding work, and got the job. I was at my first job site that Sunday. "Are you Eugene, the new guy starting today?" The person who greeted me had a bright smile and a tan, and he looked really fit. "Yes, nice to meet you. I don't know anything yet, but I'm eager to learn." I shook his hand firmly. "You've got a lot of energy. I like it. I'm Fred Green. Glad to have you here." I immediately liked his friendly demeanor. "Thank you, Fred," I said. "Oh, sorry, Mr. Green." I quickly apologized, having accidentally called him by his first name. He laughed heartily. "It's all good. You got caught up in me, didn't you? No need for formality here. Just call me Fred." He patted me on the shoulder encouragingly, and I thanked him. Fred was 25, and it felt like he was an older brother to me, an only child of course. As a paid worker, receiving harsh words was expected, especially when I fell short and needed correction. "Listen, Eugene, you're still in high school. There might be people on the site with unpleasant attitudes. Even so, always greet them and treat them with respect." Through my part-time job, he taught me about the harshness of society and from manners to how to maintain my own motivation. I learned so many things, like how to deal with people I couldn't get along with. Even though teachers at school and my mom told me the same things, I somehow found myself nodding along when he said them, understanding them instantly. "Eugene, what do you plan to do after high school? Are you going to get a job?" When I was a senior, he asked me about my future plans. "I have a single mother, so I do plan to work full-time after graduation." He thought for a moment, and then surprised me with an offer. "Then why don't you work with me?" "If you want to." He seemed unusually nervous, and I was thrilled. Fred, whom I admired like an older brother, said he wanted us to work together. I had no intention of saying anything other than, "Yes, thank you for the offer. I wouldn't want it any other way. I would love to work with you." I shook his hand, and he smiled with relief. "Thanks, honestly, I was really nervous about asking. I was worried you might say no and couldn't sleep last night." I burst out laughing at his unexpected confession. He then said he wanted to meet my mom, so I suggested we have lunch together after my graduation ceremony. My mom, who had a talent for cooking and worked at a small restaurant, eagerly prepared for lunch. "I'm Sarah, Eugene's mother. Nice to meet you. Thank you for looking after him. Nice to finally meet you. I'm Fred from Davis Construction, he replied. I watched them introduce themselves with a grin. It was amusing to see them so nervous, even though that wasn't their usual demeanor. We enjoyed the wonderful meal my mom had prepared. She had put up a sign for a private event at the restaurant entrance, so we had the place to ourselves. As we reached dessert, Fred spoke up seriously. Sarah, I think Eugene has probably mentioned that I would like to continue working with him. I know I'm young and may not seem reliable, but I promise to take good care of him. His earnest expression made my mom smile gently. You're far from unreliable. Eugene always talks about you when he comes home from work. From what I've heard from him, I have no worries. Please take care of my son. My mom's smile was filled with happiness, and I felt a lump in my throat when I glanced at Fred. I saw his eyes were misty too. It made me incredibly happy to see these two people I cared about so much thinking of me after graduation. I started working at Davis Construction, marking the beginning of my professional life. Eugene, are you ready for the next site? Yes, leave it to me. I've got it covered. Since I had been working for a while, I knew the basics and quickly became an essential part of the team. I worked hard, applying everything Fred had taught me. Time flew by, and a turning point came when Fred was 35 and I was 26. Eugene, I'm being transferred to New York City, he said. Seriously? You did it, Fred. That's amazing. You're going to the headquarters. He was outstanding in his job, leveraging his extensive field experience to consistently excel in his managerial role, which caught the attention of the headquarters. Particularly, his efforts in advocating for improved treatment of workers had yielded results. He was slated to move to the HR department at headquarters. I'm sorry, Eugene. I wish I could take you with me, but I don't have that authority, he said, looking genuinely regretful. Come on, man. I'll work hard here and aim to get called to the headquarters myself. Although I felt sad about being apart from him, I knew I could handle things by applying everything he had taught me. I'm glad to see you grow. I'll work hard in the city, and you do your best here too. We celebrated until dawn, creating fun memories. We stayed in touch, visiting each other whenever we could. Half a year later, I received a call from Fred. What's wrong? It's rare for you to sound so down. Did something happen? His voice was serious, making me anxious. Listening to his unexpected news left me stunned. I'm Eugene Blazer, starting today. Nice meeting you all. I introduced myself in front of the office as applause erupts around me. Having joined Davis Construction right after high school, this is my first time at a different workplace. I'm at a subsidiary that deals primarily with construction materials, undergoing training to expand my knowledge in this area. All right, good to have you here. I'm Lee, the manager, he says, not bothering to hide his annoyance. He's younger than me, not yet 30, and already holds the manager title. What I've heard is that he's an elite, and he's aware of it. 15 minutes into the job, Lay's yelling starts, Hey Garden, you messed up the numbers again. How many times do I have to tell you? You idiot. Sorry, Lee. Even on my first day, it's clear there are issues in this office. L's reprimands are intimidating and relentless. Sure, making mistakes isn't good, but the way he gets angry is also a problem. Watching this makes me feel really uncomfortable and I frown. About 2 months later, I'm starting to get used to the work and the colleagues. Today, Lay's yelling at Garden is worse than usual. Geez, Garden, are you trying to get me in trouble? The estimate you gave me is wrong. I had to apologize to the client because of you. Oh, but Lee, I used the exact numbers you clearly told me to use the other day. Garden tries to defend himself, trembling. I've written down those numbers too, and I know he's right. What I never gave you that number, Lee yells out. Different numbers, blaming his subordinates for his mistakes to escape responsibility is unacceptable. Garden looks like he's about to cry. This isn't my mistake, it's yours. You made me do it, you useless idiot. This is my breaking point. Lee, with all due respect, this is your mistake, not Gordon's. There's a stir in the office. Likely, no one has ever directly challenged Lee, at least not since I've been here. What, Eugene, what are you saying? My mistake? Prove it. Despite his angry, red-faced outburst, I stay calm. I have proof. When you loudly instructed Garden to create the estimate, I took notes too. I pull out my notebook, which includes the date, time, and content of the conversation. I read out the exact numbers he has given, which matches Gordon's estimate perfectly. Why were you taking notes on something that doesn't concern you? Because you always give instructions so quickly, I thought it would help if I also took notes in case Gordon missed anything. He glares at me, trembling with rage. Eugene, you'll regret this. He grabs his bag and jacket and storms out. As soon as he disappears, a sense of relief fills the room. Thank you, Eugene. Gordon rushes over to me. No, don't mention it. I just couldn't keep quiet. I'm sorry for causing a scene. I apologize to him. No, really, no one has ever stepped in like that before. It meant a lot. Hearing this, I head straight to the assistant branch manager's office. Adam, what's going on here? I've only been here for 2 months, but Lay's behavior is way out of line. Don't you see that? Adam, despite being Lay's superior, always seems to fade into the background. He never reprimands him and just watches passively. He looks uncomfortable at my complaint. Well, he's in charge of overseeing his staff. His methods may seem extreme to you, but it's his way of leading. I don't get involved. You can't just ignore this. Do you really think his behavior is acceptable? I'm about to lose my temper when Gordon pulls me aside. Eugene, let's talk in the break room. Once there, he explains, you probably don't know this, but Lee acts like that because his father is a senior executive at the headquarters. His father? What's he got to do with this? I'm really confused. He's the son of the executive director at the headquarters. That's why neither Adam nor anyone else can complain. At first, the branch manager, who is no longer here, and Adam used to caution him in this office only. Lee and Adam have official positions. I've been told the branch manager is out on assignment, but I never knew there was such a reason behind it. Everyone has families to think about. Challenging Lee is risky now. I get it. But that doesn't justify letting him behave like a tyrant. Aren't you stressed out? Gordon gives me a better smile. It would be a lie if I said I wasn't, but my mother is sick and in the hospital. I can't afford to quit my job. I grew up in a single-parent household, so it's just me and her. Oh, I had no idea. That sounds tough, Gordon says. I'm in a similar situation, so I understand how much you care about your mother. Since it isn't our break time, we wrap up the conversation quickly and get back to work. During our break, we go to a nearby diner and talk about various things. Being raised by single mothers, we have a lot in common, and time flies by. I wish I had talked to you earlier, I say. I feel like I can really keep going now that you're here. Really, I'm glad to hear that. Let's have lunch together again, Gordon responds. We promise each other that and return to our afternoon tasks. Dealing with Lee is a headache, but I'm happy to have formed a bond with Gordon in the end. Lee doesn't come back to the office all day the next day. The next day, Lee comes into the office with a smirk on his face and approaches me. Hey, Eugene, get this done, he says, tossing some work on my desk that isn't my usual responsibility. This isn't my job. Shut up, just do it. That's an order. Stop being so picky about your tasks. Seeing his disapproving look, I realize his target has shifted to me. Oh, Lee, I can do that. Adam hasn't done this before. Gordon tries to interject, but Lee just snickers. I'm telling him to do it. Delegating tasks is my job as your boss. Don't butt in. Gordon still tries to reason with him, but I stop him with a hand gesture. Arguing with Lee is pointless. I understand. I'll do it, I say. Humph, say that from the start. Hurry up, he responds, returning to his desk looking satisfied. From this day on, Lee subjects me to unreasonable treatment. He gives me wrong instructions, causing trouble for clients, or takes credit for deals I've closed. Lee, you can't do things like that. It confuses our clients, I protest, only for him to mock me. It's fine. Taking credit is part of the boss's job. I despised him more than ever, feeling utterly drained. I visit my mom's small restaurant after work. Hey, Mom, is it closed today? I asked, noticing the closed sign on the door as I enter. She sounds flustered as she looks up and says, Eugene, oh, I wasn't expecting you. I smile at her as she hurries out from behind the counter. Sorry for showing up unannounced. It's fine, sit, she says. Suddenly, she stops, looking at the counter. I haven't noticed, but a man is sitting there. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I apologize quickly, thinking he's a customer. But then I remember the closed sign and become curious. Why is he here? I wonder if he's a friend of Mom? No, it's okay, he says. I asked your mother to let me in. Are you her son? The man asks with a gentle smile. He seems to be around Mom's age, well-dressed and sophisticated. He's vaguely familiar, but I can't remember where I'd seen him. Yes, I'm Eugene. I introduce myself. Eugene, I see my mom's eyes are welling up, and the man's are too. I start to realize who he might be, and my heart begins to race. Mom, is he? They exchange glances, and the man clears his throat. He then explains everything, leaving me stunned and unable to fully process it. When I get home, overwhelmed with emotions, sleep eludes me. The next day, still groggy from lack of sleep, I get to the office to be greeted by Lay's smug grin. I've been waiting for you, Eugene. Here, do this today. He hands me a brochure for a trip to Miami. What is this? I ask. It's an incentive trip, and everyone is going to Miami. You need to make the reservations, he says. We have a travel agency we always use, so coordinate with them. I'm getting used to being told things as if they are already decided. Since there are precedents, there must be someone in charge, and I figure it'll somehow work out. The trip is over a month away, so I hold back a sigh and respond, understood. I'll get right on it. I then go through a lot of back and forth with the travel agency, but secure the reservations. I've gotten it done, I think, but it was actually pretty complicated. I'm at the airport on the day of the trip. I'm here early, but even right before the meeting time, there's no sign of anyone coming. There are supposed to be 80 people, yet I don't see a single familiar face. Even when the meeting time comes, no one shows up. Panicking, I call Adam, but he doesn't answer, so I call Lee. Hello, what's up, Eugene? He answers immediately, his voice laughing as if he finds something amusing. I answer him in a fluster, unable to hide my panic. It's not a laughing matter. Today is the trip to Miami. Aren't we supposed to meet at the airport? Barely able to contain his laughter, he replies, we're all about to board a plane to WYK. Oh wait, not all of us. Garden isn't here. I told him the airport changed. He's probably standing alone at the other airport. He finally bursts into loud laughter. I can also hear other people laughing in the background. My anger surges, and my whole body trembles with rage. I clench my free hand, trying to calm down. Doing this to Garden? I've reached my limit. Unaware of my anger, he continues gleefully, well, if you pay the full cancellation fee for Miami, I'll let you join us. It's all out of your pocket, but can you pay it? Good luck, Eugene. Fed up with his condescending attitude, I tell him with a sneer, full cancellation fee out of pocket? You'll let me join you? Who do you think you are? You've been acting like everyone there is getting fired. You'll get the notice from headquarters soon. Just look forward to it. The notice from headquarters catches his attention. He stops laughing and, with a hint of anxiety in his voice, asks, what are you talking about? Ignoring his question, I hang up. Almost immediately, Garden calls me. He must have been trying all this time. I quickly pick it up. Eugene, where are you? Lee told me the airport changed, but there's no one here. I explain the situation to him, who is stunned by Lay's outrageous actions. He's speechless for a few moments and then struggles to speak. Why do we have to go through this? What did we do to deserve it? Don't worry, Garden, if we keep working hard and honestly, we'll be rewarded. Just look forward to when they get back from vacation. After hanging up, I make a call to someone 4 days later. The work resumes after everyone has returned. Good morning, Eugene. Thank you for the encouragement. Garden greets me as soon as we see each other. Don't mention it. I meant every word. Just wait and see. He looks puzzled, but I smile confidently. When Lee sees me, he gives a nasty grin. Aloha, Eugene. You said we get a notice of termination from headquarters, but nothing's happening. Were you just venting your frustration? Laughter echoes around us, but I remain calm, knowing what is coming. Well, as I heard, this place has a terrible work environment. How can they hire you if they don't say anything with a manager like this? A voice comes from the entrance. The man looks as if he has seen something truly distasteful. Indeed, it's embarrassing to think this is one of our group companies, adds Fred. Appearing with two other men, he raises his hand in greeting, and I return the gesture. Behind him, the anxious-looking man seems quite nervous. What, Dad? Why are you here? Lee's face turns pale as he trembles, looking at the unexpected visitors. One of them is his father, Martin, the executive director. What the heck is this, out of nowhere? Outsiders shouldn't just barge in here. Lee's face is red with anger, but Martin turns white and yells, "Be quiet." This is the CEO of Davis Construction. The office stirs up with murmurs. "Coo, huh. Oh, CEO, well, it's understandable you don't know me. As a group company, we might not interact directly. My name might appear in newsletters, but you probably don't remember my face." The man who says this casually is the CEO of Davis Construction, Wilbur. "We're here because we received reports about various issues with this branch. I have to see it for myself." "What? Who reported that?" Lee widens his eyes, pointing at me, apparently oblivious to the etiquette of not pointing at people. "It's you, isn't it? You snitch." Wilbur's voice roars over him. "How dare you blame your employee for your own misconduct, you fool." Martin, taken aback, and his son, the father and son, jerk back, and everyone else is startled by the loud voice. "Let's move to another room. Prepare the meeting room." Adam, who's been silently observing, hurries, leading us to the meeting room. The six of us, Wilbur, Fred, myself, Martin, Lee, and Adam, take our seats after a colleague brings drinks and leaves. Wilbur starts the conversation. "Now, Lee, I hear you've been intimidating your employees and mocking them in front of others." Lee glances at me and then smoothly lies, seeming more composed with his father beside him. "No, that's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. So, you're saying you've never done such things, right?" "I swear, I've never. If my actions made it seem that way, that was my failing. I deeply apologize for that." He shows a sincere expression, and his father supports him. "All due respect, Wilbur, I heard what was said by him earlier, and while I agree the tone was inappropriate, I can't believe this is habitual behavior. I see your opinion is noted. Now, play the recording." Wilbur gives Fred a signal. "Yes, sir." Fred takes out a voice recorder from his pocket and pushes the play button. The voice of Lee, reprimanding Garden, plays. It's the recording capturing the harshness of the exchange from my first day here. Lee turns pale. "What? How I recorded it?" At Fred's request, "The reason I came here is not only for the training purpose, but to investigate your conduct, Lee." He's bewildered. "Investigate me for what?" Fred explains calmly, "The branch manager consulted us, saying your behavior was intolerable when he addressed it. Pressure from your father got him transferred. He was worried about the remaining staff and asked us to intervene." Lee's eyes widen in shock, not expecting the branch manager to have made such a request. Martin is holding his head in his hands. "So, I asked Eugene, whom I trust, to investigate the situation here. I'm sorry for the trouble, Eugene." "Lee, your actions are intolerable, and I've heard about the trip too. It's beyond acceptable." Fred's face shows his anger while the recorder continues to play incriminating remarks by Lee. Lee's face turns whiter and whiter. "What do you think now, hearing your own words?" Wilbur asks quietly. Lee is speechless. His father seems like he wants to say something but falls silent when the recording of my airport conversation with Lee plays. "Listen, as a leader, there are many things you must be careful of when reprimanding subordinates. Criticize the mistake, not the person. Do not damage their character." Wilbur's words echo what Fred has often said to me. "You will face the consequences of your actions. You are all dismissed. This branch will be shut down eventually. Those who cannot value their employees are detrimental to the company." As Wilbur declares this, Lee shouts and protests. "What? Why am I getting fired? Huh? You've got to be kidding me. This company survives because of me." His son spits out, yelling. Martin drags him away. "Don't you get it yet? This is the result of your own actions. Because of you, I'm losing my job too. How are you going to make up for this, Dad? What are you doing? Why are you stopping me? I don't understand what I did wrong. As Lee continues to shout and resist, Martin and Adam pull him out of the room. Once it's quiet, Fred Wilbur and I sit down and exhale a long sigh. He doesn't get it, even after all that. Huh? He's hopeless. I can only manage a forced smile at Fred's comment. Wilbur shakes his head and says, I never thought Martin's son would be so uncommunicative. It must have been stressful for you too. I'm really sorry. It's fine, really. I look up to Fred, so I want to help. Besides, Dad, I've been a help to you too, right? I address Wilbur as Dad, not sure if it's appropriate, and my heart is racing. Yes, my dad is Wilbur, the CEO of this company. Unbeknownst to me, he's been close by all along. He looks at me with wide eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. It was probably inappropriate. I panic, but Fred bursts out laughing. Hey, this is no time to be laughing. It's fine, he says, actually moved. Wilbur, Dad, nods fervently, struggling to get the words out. I never expected you to call me that. I'm so touched. He pauses, then continues, I'm sorry, but thinking about everything, I can't hold my tears. As the tears flow down his face, I remember the first time I met him at my mom's restaurant. At that time, my dad told me the whole story after I sensed something special between him and my mom. He had been a poor college student aiming to become an architect when he met and fell in love with Mom. However, financial difficulties almost forced him to drop out until he met the daughter of a construction company CEO, who fell in love with him at first sight. She offered to support his education and proposed marriage. When Mom found out, she disappeared from his life. Desperate, he searched for her but couldn't find her. Eventually, he accepted the support, graduated, married the CEO's daughter, and took over the company. I'm really sorry, I say, knowing saying sorry isn't enough, but I'm truly sorry. I couldn't grasp the reality as I watched him apologize fervently. Seeing my confusion, my mom said, I found out I was pregnant after I left him. I thought he would have a better chance to achieve his dreams with the other woman than with someone like me. That's why I disappeared. She looked kindly at my dad, making me realize she had always loved him. I was so happy when I found out I was pregnant. You made me so happy when you were born. It was tough, but you grew up to be such a caring man, she said, tears in her eyes. One day, I received a letter from your mom, alongside a photo of you in grade school. I was truly surprised but deeply happy. It's a precious treasure of mine. Then, he showed me the photo that had been carefully kept in a notebook. At that time, my wife and stepfather were still alive, so I couldn't do anything. I know it's just an excuse, but I was only able to contact your mom after they passed away. Again, he apologized. I understand. I'm an adult now and know there are complexities in relationships. I never felt unhappy because Mom took good care of me. Strangely, I don't resent you either. After a pause, I shared my true feelings. Comforting my crying parents was a busy task. Once they calmed down, I reported to Dad about the issue Fred had asked me to handle. When I told him about the Miami trip, he was furious. What in the world? That's unacceptable. You said, Fred from HR, I'll handle this right away. Wait here. He stepped out in a hurry. Soon after, I received a flood of calls from Fred. Eugene, man, you're the SE. Oh, son. What's that about? Though it caused confusion initially, it's now a funny story. Thank you, Eugene. As a father and as a CEO, I will act honorably from now on. Watch me as I smile at Dad, who is finally calmed down. I remember something. Oh, Dad, I have a favor to ask. Soon after a formal announcement is made and the branch is shut down, resulting in everyone losing their jobs, Fred has remarked that it was a rather drastic way to find people, and he isn't wrong. Following this, I'm transferred to the headquarters, where I get the chance to work with Fred again. I'm now committed to supporting him as his right-hand man in the HR department. Oh, good morning, Eugene. I hear someone call out to me at the entrance of the office. Garden morning. How is your mother doing? Thanks to you. She's doing well. Wilbur introduced us to a great hospital, and things are looking up. I was really worried when I heard the office was closing, but in fact, I had asked my dad to help Garden get a job at the headquarters and to find a good hospital for his mother. He had been a target of Lee and was working hard for his mother's sake, so I wanted to ensure he was rewarded. The former branch manager, who had been transferred, is also back at the headquarters. Don't worry, we'll take care of the job in the hospital. Arrangements, from what I hear, he's been working diligently and honestly, so there shouldn't be any problem. Thus, Garden has secured a new position and is able to transfer his mother to a hospital where she can receive better treatment. But why has Wilbur been so kind to someone like me? When he first offered to help, I couldn't believe it, Garden says, looking puzzled. Didn't I tell you? If you work hard and live honestly, you'll definitely be rewarded. There are always people who notice your efforts and will extend a helping hand. I want to be someone who reaches out to others, rather than someone who finds amusement in attacking them. Seeing people who do the right thing get rewarded, even just a little, motivates me to keep striving to help others.